Going live. Hey everybody, I think we're finally actually live. Don't know what was going on. I just had to reset everything on YouTube. Sorry, chat. I'll tell you what you guys missed was just beautiful stuff as well. So
It was amazing.
it was amazing stuff. So it looks like we are live. I'll say hi to everyone again. Thank you, chat. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, koalas in the internet down here in Australia. I'm Flynn. I'm really good at my job, and this is Dale Bigeni. He's much better at his job than I am at mine. How are you doing? How are you doing, my mate?
Uh, I'm doing good. That just caught me off guard a little bit, but it's all right. It's live, and it's nothing like a little bit of 8:30 in the morning excitement.
Yeah, it's all sorted now. All good. All good in the hood. We are here with Dale Bigeni. We're doing part two of how to design a t-shirt. So I'll stop talking so we can get stuck into it because we have less time, obviously, on our clock. But yeah, so we did a part one. We were doing some illustration. Now you have the illustration, and we're going to teach you guys how to get it onto a shirt and all the things you need to know. So yeah, what's up, chat?
All right, straight into it. All right, so okay, so basically we drew this last week. We obviously didn't finish it, but if you want to review it, you can feel free to jump back into it. I was just gonna talk about converting things from, I guess, like paths and strokes and whatnot to be one consistent artwork, but also to have that artwork have the right feel for your shirt or for your design in general. This design's kind of got that heavy metal, like kind of a bit darker feel to it, so I wanted it to be less about straight lines and really like crisp line work. And you can see that I've converted these into kind of like everything looks a little bit more sketchy and rough. It's a little less uniformed, which I think's appropriate for the job. But the quickest way to show you this is, I guess I'm converting the paths like these into objects. So just outlining the stroke and then creating using textures that I have purchased through True Grit. And you've got like a whole bunch of stuff, but it's such a super simple way to do things and like a quick way to achieve this look. So he's got, in the pack you get a whole bunch of graphic styles and strokes and things like that. And then all you have to do is go in and load up these preset actions, press play, and that's it. It's kind of converted it straight away into these. It's gone from really crisp lines like this to that. So it takes no time at all, and it kind of adds like a new dimension to the artwork. But obviously you would only use it if you feel like it's appropriate for the job. Otherwise, keep it all clean, crisp, however you want it. But for this piece, I just like how it's got a little bit of grit to it. So I'll do things like that to kind of just like make sure that I'm hitting the brief and making sure that this shirt is exactly what the client is after. So, looking at halftones and my color options and things like that, I think we're going to keep it one color. So at the moment, this would be classed as that's a two color on a white shirt. But if you were to do it on a black shirt, it would be you'd end up with probably three colors: a base color and your blacks and grays. So the easiest way to achieve this null value without having to add a color is to convert it into a halftone, if you wish. Again, True Grit has a whole bunch of halftone presets that you can jump in, and again, these aren't perfect halftones. They've got that. It's reflective of the line work, I guess. So it would make sense to use something like this in this piece, but I've already got one preloaded. So
that's like an aesthetic choice, right? To have it like
correct.
That kind of so it looks a bit more handmade, like it's not like a perfect grid.
Yeah, so I guess if you were working in a clean environment like up here, you could probably go for a cleaner halftone, but I've already
Mm.
decided that I'm gonna convert things to be a bit rougher and like a little less uniform. So I've got the ability, or I've, I've got the chance to use this rougher halftone, which I think it just adds to the piece. So I've already got one conveniently
Oh, you got one
created over
prepared
here.
earlier,
Yeah, how's that? It's
mate.
almost like I knew this. We were gonna we were gonna have a little bit of a hiccup.
Mate, you're all
So I'll
over
just
it.
get rid of this. So yeah, same kind of deal with the strokes that I just showed you. These halftones they come in as swatches, and then there's actions to create them into to outline, expand, whatever you want to call it, so that it's all an object. So now you can see my whole piece is it's all ready to go. Like I can change colors of whatever I need to here. It's all objects. I've kind of left most of it apart so that I can treat each piece individually.
Mm.
But for the most part, I would usually merge it so that it's like that. So it's all one piece. It's just a little bit less cumbersome, and I've always got this up here to revert back to as like
Yeah.
individual pieces.
So you always
So
keep like your original like working
yeah,
file like on a separate like I mean obviously here you've
well
got
I
it in the same doc, but you'll always keep
yeah.
that to refer back to or if you
Um,
need to go back.
while I'm kind of developing the piece, I'd always keep it just in my surrounding artboard. So I've got like a one down here that I've expanded, and this one's so that I can grab each little section here. So I can grab that, and then I can create color fills out of that because it's all merged. I can create selections out of those shapes. So if it's all on the one dock, it's easier for me, just like a little bit less back and forth. But I will eventually have a working file that's fully layered, and then I'll have my file for print, which is just the artwork with like the layers created. So black, white, whatever it is,
Mm.
whatever the colors need, or the file needs. So with that said, I guess we look at layers. I guess they're pretty well. They're very important. Everyone knows how important they are. But in this case of we're only doing a two color, but I really wanted to talk about if you were designing this and your client hasn't requested anything but the artwork. They haven't told you what color it's going on, what color you're going to be, like if they're going to change colors down the track. There's a high chance they're going to take this and do the old. Can we just reverse the artwork out? And then it doesn't always work. So I think
Mm.
it's always nice to, when you're designing shirts, especially, always design with um, like the option to print on white or black. So
Mm.
again, I pre-prepared this, so they look good on both colors. Yeah, the screens are going to change slightly, but I think it's worth the investment and the time that you would take to create a second version, if that makes any sense. Because
Yeah.
when they take this artwork here and they just do a flip onto black, it doesn't always work. It's something like there's always something lost in the design, and it doesn't always look A1. And as an artist, I think you should be conscious that it's your name attached to that artwork. So
Mm.
it's always nice to always create with the dark and lighter shades in mind. And this can obviously I can just bring this across, do the same thing. I can make this sky color. It's obviously a little bit smaller. I've scaled it. But yeah, I'd put in, I'd change this, maybe the moon to black or something. Just as much as it's like, an additional cost to change those screens, I think it's worth it in the
Mm.
long run to have the artwork prepared properly. But yeah, so always have that black and white in mind, I guess. But that's that. Now I just want to show you real quick. Get my artwork together. All right, so with with this artwork, I guess to talk about the kind of the colors and making sure that it's print safe, or you're not going to have any issues. Most printers are pretty good these days. They'll tell you exactly what needs to happen. Like if you send them an artwork, there's a high chance they're going to get in touch with you and tell you, oh hey, can you, it's made up out of 4-color, can you change it to you know just black and white instead of a CMYK black. So I guess the way you see this is in I think it's in window. You've got separations preview, and this will show you, and also the info panel, this info panel here as well. If you select the color, it'll tell you, so you can see that's 100% black and only black. It's not made up out of CMYK.
Right.
So I know it's only a single color black. I had a black in here before, that was the wrong one, but I think I've changed it. So if I change this black to, oops. Yeah, so that's 100% black, and then this is 100% black, but it's coming out of this CMYK breakup.
Right.
And there's a chance that you might add a little bit of yellow or magenta, and then like when you go through your separations here, you can see. All right, so I've got this little bar down here for the preview. So this is your CMYK, the 4 colors, and when you turn them off, you can see. All right, so that's the black layer. So everything's just pure black there, isn't it? The yellow. So if I turn all of them off, they should disappear. So that means there's no, see how nothing's showing up here? My artwork's still there, obviously, but nothing's showing up because it's not, it doesn't have magenta in it, doesn't have yellow in it, and
Right.
it doesn't have black. Sorry, it's only got black in it. If you look down
So does that
here
mean
at
like you
this
could have
gray-
like a little bit of, say, magenta in the black, but you can't, like maybe your eye can't see it or something?
Correct.
But then
So
if you
see
did
this-
something like that, it might kind of fade through very slightly. Yeah.
So if you pick a grey, I think like if you pick some of these greys, or if I was in my color swatches and I picked a grey from down here, just say I didn't pick the grey properly. Obviously, I just selected anything. You can already see in my info palette, it's going to come up as CMYK. It's not a black tint or anything. So when I go through my separations now, I'll see straight away that, okay, so there's cyan under there, there's magenta in it, there's yellow, and there's black to get to that color. So you may think you picked a grey and it's just a grey, but the printer will see it and they'll see all those colors and be like, hey, it's all coming out of 4-color. Do you want to pick a grey? Or I think that's why I stick to the halftones, because then I can just select that halftone as a black, and I know for sure this is a single color print on white. Basically, I have no fear that the printer is going to see it any other way. Like I said, it's 2020 and just print tech has changed so much that they're all over it anyway. But I feel like if you can let your printer know that, like from the get-go, it's only a 1 color, this is how I've built it, I'm going to have all my colors on separate layers, then you're just doing right by them, and a happy printer means a better job for you in the long run. So,
and I guess
I think it's always
like having a relationship with a printer. Like, would you often use the same sort of printer? Like, I know Jeremy, I don't know if Jeremy's still in chat, but our mate Jeremy Lord, I know he's got a printer that he works with all the time. He just has like developed a relationship over time. Is that something that is a good thing to do?
Yeah, I definitely think it is a good thing to do. And with, I guess with like Instagram and social media, it's so easy to have a relationship with them. You don't have to fear, I guess, like, what if they don't like get back to me, or everyone's pretty like friendly, everyone's open to helping each other. So I think it is good to have a relationship, and probably if you're not the one printing it, it's always a little bit harder. But I guess it's always good to recommend those guys you have worked with in the past, because you know how they work, they know how you work, and in turn the work comes out correct every time. You're not having that back and forth for, print issues or artwork issues. So the relationship is very important. I definitely agree. Um, but also giving the printer as much information as you can. It doesn't matter if your client doesn't understand it. I think they should still be able to forward that information with your job to the printer. So yeah, as much info as possible, right?
That's cool. Hey, there's a question from chat. Are these usually printed like a digital printing, or like spot colors, or is it all offset? Like, what's the what?
Yes. So I was gonna say, it's always better to, if you're gonna add colors and stuff. So let's just say we want to add some color into this, straight for the hand. Instead of this red, I guess I would go in and I would pick. I would use the color swatches, so the color book. Sorry. Or if you've got a Pantone book, that's even better. But I would pick a spot color through here, and make sure it's a spot color, because then one, it's easy for you to know that the color you've picked versus the color gets printed is exactly the same, because it's an industry standard, right? Pantone color. And also, it's when you export this, you can export it to see like what spot colors are used, or what colors are actually in your jobs. Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to pick a color here. Yeah, so once you click the spot color, you can see it come up here into your swatches. I know my screen's really small, but sorry, the icon's really small, but it comes up with a little dot, so that makes like it's a very clear indicator that it's a spot color. If you double click it, you can see it's a book color, spot color, so the printer will see it as I don't know why it's coming up like that. So it'll give you its breakdown in CMYK and stuff, but it's still coming up as Pantone Strong Red. Who has ever used that? No one. But also
it's there if you want it.
Yeah, it's there if you want it. I'd always try to stick to spot colors if I'm using colors. Pantone colors. Because they are an industry standard, and what I see on my screen here isn't always what comes out of a printer, and I think that's pretty basic knowledge that a screen display isn't always 100%. So always get proofs and proof check stuff before it goes to a full run.
How do you get proof for a shirt? Do they just print it on like a tea towel or cloth or something? Or
I think on t-shirts, I haven't really. I mean, unless you have that relationship, like we said, and you went in there and spoke to them about getting a proof done. Yeah. I guess without a relationship, there's no trust, right? So if you have the relationship and he says, "Nah, it's going to be that red," then I'll take his word for it every time. If it's a new printer, I'd like to see some sort of proof, or do an on-site check or something. I don't know if they still let you, but just let them run one through, and hopefully registration's correct and things like that. But I'm a strong believer in the technology that's behind printing now and how good it's become. So I've got all faith in the world with most printers, to be honest. But I guess you could ask for a proof, like a straight off the press. I mean, you're paying a lot of money for this. Like, the last thing you want to do is invest thousands of dollars, and the red isn't strong red or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I'd do things like that. Like, I'd make sure that all my colors are spot colors. All my blacks are black. They're not coming up as 4-color. To be fair, I don't know if that's a major issue, but for me, if I can take care of that on my end, then it's something I would do. And also, to avoid any more issues down the track, I would make tech packs. So I'd take my artwork. Sorry, this is old. Let me get rid of this. So the tech pack is basically to talk to the printer, I guess, and give them all the specifics of the job. So you want to have, like, the garment name doesn't really matter, but tell them what colors it's being printed on. State if it's PMS colors or it's CMYK, the print sizes, and just notes for printing, like do you want to off center, wherever you want it,
Mm.
how large, what kind of, I don't know, is it embroidered, not printed? Just put as much info as you can into these tech packs, and just give them that mock up so that they can. I'm just gonna drop this in. Oops. Get rid of this red.
Yeah, so it's almost like you got to remember that you're talking to a human on the other side, right? Like make it as clear
Yeah.
as possible. Do the mock
Yeah.
up, like anything you can think of that might be out of the normal or any request or anything like that. Just like users be as clear as possible.
Yeah, just any info you can get to them to help make sure the job goes out like without a glitch. I think it's just this is probably like, and I'm sure everyone does this. Like I'm not showing anything that's really super new, but I think some people might just do a shirt design and then send it to print and think that's okay. Like that's all it needs. But at least if I do this, I know exactly what I'm looking at. I know what I'm going to get out of the printer as well. Sorry, I'm turning this over. So I'll put all of this in, and I think it by doing this, it gets you excited as well. It makes you think like it's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you see it in situ, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna look good. So I'd make sure that I have all my measurements on here. It just takes away the need to talk to the printer over and over again. If you just send them the artwork, they're going to call you and say, how big do you want the back print? How big is this front print? If I've got it all in here, then I've taken away all of that, that room for question. And then, on this second page, I just do big versions of the artwork and call it A and B or whatever it is.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy had a question. Dale, how fine can a dot or detail be before the screen print won't pick it up when you print it?
Oh man, that's a good question. And you know what? I always have this issue. Like, I don't think I'm even fully across it, but and don't quote me on this, but these halftones that you buy from True Grit they're already at a preset size. So if they're printing, they're supposed to come out fine. And I've never had an issue with their halftones, but I have done halftones in the past manually, where I used to do dot by dot, like little patterns. And that exact thing would happen. I'd get the shirt back, I'd be like, hey, where's all the halftones? But they're there. They just reduced so, like, they were too fine that the ink bled in and has created almost no halftone.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I don't want to say what the right size is, but I definitely know that some details, I can tell you right now that this little line here, this tiny, will probably get lost. Like it'll probably fall out, or it's really fine. But from experience, I try to keep things like as bold as possible as well. But again, with that said, there's printers that can print like, there's direct to garment, that DTG stuff that can print basically like it's like a laser jet onto a shirt, right? So it holds so much. I think it's the screen printing where it actually is the most risky for detail, I guess.
Right.
But that's a good question. I'd like to maybe I should talk to one of my printer mates and see is there, or if there's an actual printer in the chat, maybe they can tell us.
Printers in the chat, sign out.
Yeah, let us know. But so I think these tech packs are important to like they're a really important part of like sending things to print. I definitely think like supplying files in multiple formats as well, so not just a PDF, like a high-res print PDF. I'd give the artwork to the printer as a Illustrator file if it's created in Illustrator.
Like your actual working file.
Yeah, so I said, let's say that this artwork's complete, I'm just going to get rid of all of this stuff here. I'll even get rid of this for now. Just make sure I say this correct. So at the moment, that's got all the, well, it's kind of a little bit of a bitter at the moment. It's got things everywhere, so but it's still layered. Like I can still move most things independently. So I'd save this as, let's call it V2. So this would be the working file, and then I would do a group file. Oh, sorry, it's a bit slow to save.
And chat as well. We've got 18 minutes, a little bit, yeah, around 20 minutes, 18 minutes left. So if you do have questions, get them in.
Yeah, so, and then I'll do this group file. I just get rid of all these layers that I don't need. And then I'd build an artwork file on this, just one. So this is basically all one group file now. I'd probably supply them with this file where they can still open it up and, you know, adjust colors where it has to, or if something, you know, maybe one of these blacks is off by like a couple of, whatever it is, maybe it's a 4-color black in there. They've still got the ability to open this up, but they can't, like it's grouped, so hopefully when they're playing around, it doesn't get messed up too much. But I think it's nice to give them that, so that in case, because most print shops have an art department, and these guys in the art department are, you know, they're educated guys. They don't just work in the art department to create screens. They understand programs and how they work. So I have no fear in, and I've got faith in it that they can use these files as well. And if you've built it correctly and you've got, like, you know, you've already used all the right colors and stuff, it might only be that they need to come in here and, you know, they think that something's going to get lost, or, you know, there's, well, I can already see, like, this is a little bit, there's this white stroke around, they can go in and adjust it. So
yeah,
I think it's nice to give them that as well. Like, again, the more info and the more assets they got, then the easier it is for them. And I think it goes both ways. Like, you need to, you know, give them a good file in turn for them to give you a well-produced product. So yeah, I think that's the most important stuff in my opinion. The colors, the layering and stuff. So if you are going to be putting, you know, you're going to want to add color to this thing. I think I've already started. Yeah, I started doing some colors, but I would make sure that, like, this is originally built on my working file as colors underneath the black. So obviously if I get rid of all these whites, oops, sorry. I'm just saying select same fill color, get rid of it all. I know I lost my moon, but that's alright. But yeah, so this would be, I would just save that as a black layer, like that black layer, and then I can, it doesn't matter how you color, I usually just select these insides of the objects there, copy, create a new layer, maybe you want to call it red.
This is a new layer for every color. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so I'm going to use that would be reds. This coffee cup can be, I mean, let's just assume this is printing on a white shirt now. I've just gone against what I've been building. So I'll make another layer here and I'll call this white. So yeah, I'd put it all on a separate layer, and that way when the printer opens it, they'll be like, okay, well, there's the red, what's going on with the red? They might need to add some trapping, like, so that the red doesn't sit directly on the black line like that. See how the red line meets the black line right on the edge? There's no bleed, so they might have to add some positive, it's some trapping. So now if you look, if I turn the black layer off, that red actually goes under the black,
right,
with that stroke. and so that just if there's a registration issue or anything, can is that showing up? You can see
Yeah.
that's the red overlaps it. You can add like a couple of mil in, and it just prevents the red moving and then having a white line showing through because of the misregistration. But I haven't experienced that in any of the jobs I've ever really printed. But it's a nice way to be safe. So I'd grab my white layer and do the same thing. Just add like a little stroke, and you can see so the black still it overlays those two colors and just I personally don't do heaps of color work, so like that's very rare I have to worry about that, but I would always add a little stroke, just like 1 mil, 2 mil, just so that if there is an issue, you've kind of covered yourself. And again, it's just all a bit of forward thinking, I think.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip.
Yeah, so always, I mean, there's millions of other little things that you probably should consider. I'd be more than happy to chat if people want to hit me on Instagram or something. I'm an open book. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. But this is just the very basic stuff that I think should always be considered. So always making sure your strokes are completely outlined. They're expanded, so there's no chance of blowout, or like if the strokes get reduced, they end up getting fatter, or they enlarge the artwork too much, they get too thin. I'd make sure everything's expanded. Where I can, I'd always merge all the blacks so they're all just one layer. And then the trapping, if you've got to do multicolor stuff, making sure that all those colors are in separate layers and the black's always the hero, I guess. And then your tech packs, making sure that tech packs have all the information that the printer needs. So put all your colors in, do the legwork, and go measure a t-shirt and work out how big you want that print on the back and how big you want the one on the front, and supplying them as much visual aid as you can, I guess. Like it just the more info the better. So that's it in a nutshell, really. And I think if you do all those things, like it doesn't matter what you're printing, really. I think you should just always overdo the info and focus on a solid artwork, and I think you'll be sweet. Like I said, printers are really cool these days. They're like, I don't know, there's just a heap of them out there. Heaps of them are like older guys with a lot of experience, and they're always willing to tell you, what's good, what's not. So never fear the printer, I guess. Always reach out for help. And that's kind of that. They're the key points to, I guess, not making a great design, but a great file, like a good file to go to print.
It's clearly like a whole another step, right? Like it's so different to just like having the artwork and just like sending someone a flattened PDF or something, or like a TIFF. There was a question Festus was asking in chat: does a printer take a PDF that's all mashed into one layer? Like what happens if you send like a PDF?
So I guess, so if you do, so you can see here in this separations preview, if I turn this on, you can see that straight away this file has recognized that I've put like a Pantone in there. So when you export it, there are, again, there's many ways to, oh sorry, I just did the wrong thing. So if I save this as a PDF, I'm going to save this into there. Go through here into marks and bleed. So I'd make sure you've got your trim marks and all your, registration marks, page info. Yeah, and then if you save this PDF, hopefully this works. And then I go into Acrobat. So you can export it so that basically when they open that PDF, they should be able to see the colors that have been used. It's still saving. Sorry, it's too slow. It won't even get there. But when they open that PDF, they should be able to see this exact same thing, the separation. So they'll see that there's obviously there's a spot color in there. There's black, and then it'll show up if there's any of the four color, which there's not. So I've only got black and the Pantone. So they can, even though you flatten that PDF, it's not actually flattened. They can still see that there's a color like breakdown in there. So, and that color is going to show up in the preview. So if you do an export PDF and they get it, they can still see that there's a spot color attached to that PDF. So it's not the biggest problem. I think, like I said, printers will reach out to you if there's an issue. They usually get in touch with the artist. So I wouldn't fear the flattened PDF thing too much. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. There was another question in here as well. If anyone has any questions, we've got 8 minutes left. So jump in if you do. Where are we? I know there was another one in here that I missed. Oh yeah, Johanna, besides being easy to work with, are there any secret tips to having a good relationship with your printer? And just bring them a coffee or something when you, if you visit them.
Just don't be a jerk. Just I don't know. No secret tips. I think the relationship is built off just a good working relationship anyway. I think I met the first couple of printers from parties and stuff like art shows and things, and it's just like, oh, I'm a printer, and if you ever need anything, it's kind of, and then you build up that, I guess, reputation with them. But no secret tips. I reckon just be a good person. Like, make sure you remember they are a human. They're not just like your slave that no, you don't talk to me. I'm the artist. Like, no one's better than anyone in this little collective of creation. So I think just be cool, and if you do connect with someone on a personal level, it does help. I mean, they might be into like skateboarding and you are, and straight away like you can relate. But I think it's just if you're a good person and you can create easy working files, then that relationship will build like really quickly anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, nice. And is there any difference like creating hats or anything like that you have to consider that would be like fundamentally different to this process? Like, is there any is it crazy when you have to think about any other textures or anything, or does that come back to that relationship with the printer again, and you're like, hey, like, do I need to do anything different?
No, I think it would be like just having the knowledge of, well, obviously you've got a lot of hats. Well, I've got a lot of hats, so I'd look at these hats and see what kind of level of detail, like Jeremy's question before about the halftones, like where does it get lost? So I think it's just like research and development. Like I don't think there's an actual rule of thumb when doing hats. Like, I mean, embroidery, maybe it's slightly different because artworks need to be treated a lot differently. But in terms of, I mean, I've got quotes for things to be screen printed on hats, and it's literally the same kind of setup fees and kind of artwork requirements as a t-shirt, just on a smaller scale. So no, I don't think, I think if you're embroidering patches or things like that, it could be a lot different. But as far as screen printing onto a hat, I think it might be the same, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could always, with that relationship with the printer, you can say, hey, like, is there anything different that you want me to do, or is it all cool? Like, is it all the same? Sorry, go on. Got another question?
No, I'm just not sure that it would be much different, to be honest. I think it's just scale. That would be the only thing. You're just working at a smaller scale, so be conscious of detail that goes into it.
Yeah, cool. Joseph is asking in chat, what's your go-to t-shirt material, and does it differ depending on the design? Great question.
Well, I think it kind of only depends on if it's being like, if it's a heat transfer print or if it's a screen print kind of thing. Like, I know maybe those heat transfers need 100% cotton. Like, maybe screen printers can do 50-50, like a blend or something. But material, mine are usually just 100% cotton. But and brands wise, I guess I'll just take whatever's kind of available. I know AS Color is very popular, and it's getting harder to get a hold of their bulk items, but I'd just use any good 100% cotton shirt to be safe, really. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Oh, very good. Hey, we were chatting about you actually making this shirt, right? Like this was going to be just an example, but we're chatting about maybe making this shirt, right?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about we're going to do this shirt because I know a lot of people that suffer the all night bug, and you know, I think we should pay homage to them. So I think I'm going to print a few, and I think I might do a giveaway and see if anyone wants to join the club. You know, nice. We can wear it with pride.
That's right. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I mean, this was illustrated on Adobe Live. Started it last week and kind of finished it off here. We're going to send it to print. And you're going to give people a chance to win it. So what should they do? Should they just follow Instagram?
I think follow my Instagram, or you don't even have to follow. Just log in to it next week and have a look. And I should have some details about how you guys can pick up a shirt for just being cool guys and girls.
And girls, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, oh, that's awesome. I will we'll drop your link in the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Should be following Dale anyway. If you're not, give him a follow. Keep an eye on it.
Rude.
I think it'll be our first like bit of merch that has been created live. Actually, no, we did some stickers, but yeah, no apparel. So that's pretty exciting. Am I eligible to enter? No, definitely not. But you guys in chat, if you're there, jump in. Be pretty cool if someone here gets to win one. So I think that's awesome. Super excited.
Yeah, look, get in touch, and if anyone wants to request something else in this piece, you've still got time. So let's and then I'll post up the finished artwork next week, and we'll hit print as soon as everyone's happy with it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Kevin Lee wants 10 of these shirts. Yeah, Festus wants one.
All right.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Can't wait to see it in the wild. Got one more question, and then that'll probably take us to time. Sure. Is that the sort of file that you send to printers when proposing a print? So this one that you're showing here, this kind of tech version. So in total, what would you send them? You send them the tech pack, the original file?
So I'd send them the tech pack as like an overview, and just because I really need that institute in there up the top. And then I'd supply them a high-res PDF with the artwork attached, and then I'd send them the illustrator file also for just out of safety's sake, and I'd also supply them a low-res JPEG of the artwork for quick reference, just so that if their machines are running slow or they just need to just have a quick view, I just do a low-res JPEG of the artwork just to have a quick overview. But that's really it. That's all they should really need.
Nice. Very good. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Cool. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Dale, let's bring you up. Big Dale here. Cool. Always a pleasure hanging out with you. Thanks for creating this. It's actually been a lot in a short amount of time. It's only been a 2-part series. If you want to find out more about this one, and you just kind of caught this one, part 1, we'll leave a link to that down the bottom. Yeah, so we got the part 1, part 2. Yeah. Part 1's all about illustrating, the creative side of things, and then part 2 is all about how to make sure it looks good. Because if you create everything and it looks wonderful in your screen and it doesn't end up printing and looking good, then that's a bad day. It's a bad day for everybody, really. But yeah, Dale, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
No, thank you, Flynn. Thank you, chat.
And yeah, thank you, chat. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you again next time on Adobe Live.